do that to you?
I've only had it pop up once.
Oh, okay. It only seems to happen on the Sunday shows.
I think what it is if you're sitting there for a long time prior to you're hitting go live, I think there's like a delay.
That makes sense.
Because every other time I've gone live shortly after opening up the web browser, the one time I had an issue, I had the waiting for go live open for over an hour because I had scheduled it out. And then I had the waiting for go live notification or whatever that message was that you just said. I had that and I'm that's weird. But I remember Bill talking about that.
Hey everybody,
All right, cool.
We're live. We had some technical difficulties, but we've got them all figured out.
I had some technical difficulties. My stupid camera wasn't working. I had to reboot. I had to unplug it multiple times. What the heck? Maybe time to get rid of this camera.
You just bought that one though.
Yeah, I know.
I'll tell you what, Lloyd. If you get a DSLR, you let me know, because I've got a cam link here that I'm not using.
That might be something to do. I'm gonna have to look into it. I really don't want to spend the money, but
I know
I really don't want to play around like I've been doing today. So I don't know.
It's a ridiculous. I would never have bought the camera that I have if I didn't get it at the stupid low price that I did. So I completely understand, man.
Yep.
Hey, J-Stroke, thank you very much for the super chat, man. 1 day left. They are hyped. Are you hyped, Lloyd?
Yeah, of course, I'm super hyped. I'm even hyped for the Ubisoft thing this afternoon because I think they're going to be talking a lot about Stadia on the Ubisoft thing.
Yeah. I thought I was thinking about maybe doing a live stream watching it, but I'm not sure. I haven't decided yet. So if you haven't already, subscribed and all that stuff, make sure that you do, so then you are notified if we decide to do something like that. I don't know. I may watch it after the fact though.
Yeah, I got a bunch of running around that I need to do today. So maybe it'll be after. I gotta figure out when all this stuff is gonna happen and then when the actual event is to see if I could squeeze it in live.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of live, are you ready to record a podcast?
I am, sir. Let's do this.
And to that one dude who made a comment last week that says, "I don't care about your cats. Get to the news." There's a fast forward button, man. Relax. I don't know what your problem is.
Someone actually made that comment last week?
Yeah. Somebody, they were just mad that we were talking about it. Was pre-show.
Exactly.
If you just want the show, then listen to the podcast. There you go. I don't know.
People.
Some people are just
people
so
make
mad.
me laugh. Can you imagine having so much anger that you go through life just upset at absolutely everything? Like there's not enough time in the day. There's not enough energy in the world to make me want to do that.
Charles, I don't know how to say your name. He does make a good point. There's no fast forward on live. That's true.
Sure. That's very true. Very true.
Maybe he was watching live. I don't know. All right.
Our cats are friends now. If we want to talk about cats, they're
let's
friendly.
talk. You know what? Stadiacast. We got to have our Stadiacast update. Juno and Tank are doing okay.
They went from hissing every time they see each other to this morning. Apparently, they touched noses and rubbed against each other as they were passing. They just had a big battle up on our cat tree. They both ran up together and they play fighting, attacking, biting, and swatting. And then they realized that if they kept going, they're gonna fall. So they just kind of stopped and looked at each other. And then they both kind of went their different ways. So yeah, I love that they're getting along now. We were worried for a while there that it was gonna take some time.
Did you use that stuff that you had tweeted about?
Yes, it's really good. I don't know if that did it, but I'm definitely going to recommend that to anybody else that's having problems, because it seems like that is what did it.
All right. And that is your Stadiacast update. And now it's time for us to record Stadiacast. So let me shut off the music if I can find it. And you, sir, who doesn't want to hear about our cats, I look forward to your comment.
I'm looking forward to your thumb down when we insta post our next video.
That's right. All right, I'm going to hit the record button.
All right.
Welcome back, everybody, to Stadiacast. It's the place where you want to go if you want to know all about what's going on in the world of Stadia. I'm Bill. That's Lloyd. Lloyd, what's going on, man?
Not much, dude. Other than my computer not doing what it should be doing, and it took us a little longer to get started. It's going pretty darn good.
That's yeah. We were a little late this morning because of technical difficulties, but the show must go on. I almost had Cartoon Lloyd joining me, but then he fixed his camera, and I don't know if I'm happy that he was able to figure it out. So
I'm gonna have to rig up something where I can actually make my little guy kind of move whenever I'm talking. So I'll send you the feed of just my little cartoon head bobbing whenever I talk.
That would be awesome.
I'll have to figure that out.
All right. So yeah, this is a Stadia show. Before we get started, we record the show live every single Sunday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern. Head on over to youtube.com/Stadiacast, and you can click on subscribe and all of that other stuff in order to help us out and make sure that you get notified each and every time. Click that bell. If you want to directly support the show and you are here with us live, you can use the super chat feature in order to make sure that we see your message, and we will respond to each and every super chat in the second half of the show. Speaking of the super chats, today's probably going to be a really good day to use them because we are asking for your predictions for the Stadia Connect, which is coming on the 14th. So start sending those in to make sure that we get your predictions. We have a whole bunch that were tweeted to us. If you are not here with us live and you want to support us, well, guess what? You can click on the join button down below. That button will give you access to our supporters only Discord channel. It will give you access to videos early and and a bunch of really, really cool emotes, some of which are cartoon versions of our stupid faces. So now that we've got all that out of the way, usually we start the show off with what we've been playing, but we're going to skip what we've been playing for reasons. And instead, we're going to talk about predictions. So earlier this week, I sent out a question. I said, what are your predictions for the Stadia Connect on the 14th? Reply with your ideas, and Lloyd and I will discuss it on the Sunday show. So it is now the Sunday show, and we got a bunch of people, way too many for us to go through all of them. So Lloyd went through, and he picked out the ones that he definitely wanted to talk about. So let's start off with this one from Anthony Talcott. Lloyd, do you want to read this one?
Yeah, so Anthony replied saying, number 1, Stadia support for iPads. Number 2, more Google Assistant features in games, text-to-speech, ability to set future gaming sessions. Number 3, hopeful for new accessories, a Wi-Fi gaming headset or chat pad. And number 4, Discord integration. So the reason why I like this one is it's all just crazy out in left field things. not that the predictions are crazy, but it's not what the normal predictions were. It was just like, I'm gonna bat for the fences or swing for the fences and hit a home run here. I'm hopeful that we will get Stadia support for iPads in the near future. I think that's going to have to wait for the new iOS to actually come out in actual release mode, because that supports a VP9 codec and all that stuff. So maybe they'll announce it saying that iPad support is coming in the fall, when iOS 14 hits, or whatever the announcement would be. But man, that would be fantastic if we could get this on iPhones and iPads. It would just open up the world to many more gamers that maybe just don't have an Android device they can use.
Absolutely. Looking at this, the one that jumps out to me as never going to happen is Discord integration.
Yeah, that would be great though.
Oh, and I 100% agree. I wish that Discord could be the intermediary between Nintendo and PlayStation and Xbox and Stadia and PC. Well, it's already on PC, but I wish it was the intermediary between all of them, because it does it so well, and it's such a great community building, a community building tool, and everybody already has all of these discords that they are members of. It would be amazing if you could, just be playing a game and I could look on Discord and say, oh, look, Lloyd's playing, I don't know, the what's that racing game that you like? I can't remember it now. The Crew 2. Lloyd's
the Crew 2, yeah.
The Crew 2 right now on Stadia, and I can see it on my Discord, even if I'm not in the Stadia app. I think that would be really, really awesome. And of course, I would love it if we got iPads, and yes, Google Assistant text to speech. Please make that happen, because playing ESO and not being able to talk to people is very irritating. All right, let's look at the one that came in from Joel Thompson. He made predictions. He said they'll show trailers for sure. Serious Sam 4, which we just saw a trailer for Serious Sam 4. We'll talk about it a little bit later on in the show. Baldur's Gate 3, we already know that that's supposed to be coming in August, maybe, with their little caveat there. Watch Dogs, which was delayed. Avengers, which is coming in September. Chorus, which is this cross-platform space shooter game, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah. It looks interesting, but it'll be interesting.
I am looking forward to seeing what that game is like. That is a game that was announced for Xbox Series X, I believe, also PS5 and Stadia.
Yeah.
So that's a next gen game, according to the people who are making it. Family sharing. Joel Thompson is saying family sharing is something that he is predicting. We've seen a lot of rumors and scuttlebutt about that in when people are hacking up the Stadia website, which it's kind of weird that that's where we're getting a lot of information, and that's not something that can happen as easily on Xbox and PlayStation, because it's not just a website on those other things.
Right.
So it's harder for them to hide that kind of stuff. And then crowd play releasing, most likely with NBA 2K or PGA 2K. I agree, NBA 2K makes a lot of sense for crowd play. PGA, I don't think that makes a lot of sense for crowd play. What do you think?
I think any game that has the ability to have multiplayer makes sense for crowd play in the future. I don't know which one would be the one to launch with it, but between the two of them, I think NBA would really make a lot of sense, because you would have someone where, well, I'm the Spurs, you're the whatever team is your favorite team. Let's get together and let's play a season. That would be a really great way to use that support.
Yeah, I the reason I don't think PGA 2K makes a lot of sense to use crowd play is because that's the kind of game. Oh, well, wait a second. I was thinking that, I'm playing and then somebody joins and then we're playing golf together, which makes perfect sense, but we can all golf at the same time. You know what I mean? Remember Mario Golf on the 3DS? You could, everybody could golf at the same time. Yeah, okay, I retract what I was saying before. Free play events. Do you think we're going to get free play events like the demos that John Justice told us when I interviewed him? You think that's going to happen this time?
I definitely think so. I don't know if it's going to be at this event, but I know that is for sure coming. We've seen strings for it on the website. I believe there's even been strings in the APK at some point, where they're going to be demos for pro members or free play times for pro members. And if you're not pro, you can buy the game, is kind of like the message that they give you. So that's coming. I hope we get more news about features of Stadia at this event, and not just the games that are coming.
I personally would prefer that this is not limited to, these free play events, don't limit it to pro members, because that's how you're going to get a bunch of people to try out the service. The pro members are already people who are sold on the service, and doing the free play events might sell us on the game, but Google really needs people to be sold on the service. So they should, once ESO is no longer free with Pro, which I believe is in 4 days. If you haven't claimed it yet, you better claim it. All right. But once you can no longer claim that game for free with Pro, ESO and Google would be very smart to say, hey, by the way, we're going to do a free weekend. and everybody can log in and play. You can make a character and everything. All you got to do is just click on this link. And that would sell a lot of people, way more than when they do the free weekends on PC or other consoles, because on those you have to spend half your weekend downloading that huge game. Go ahead, Lloyd.
I just sent you an image in the Discord chat. I don't know if you can bring it up, which shows that at least the NBA folks are looking at crowd play.
Yeah, well, back when like when they showed off what crowd play was supposed to look like back in the day. Yeah.
This was from December of last year, so this is a long time coming when they showed this off.
Yeah, but I think that they also showed, like when they first announced crowd play, weren't they showing the NBA game?
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Oh,
That's
okay.
what I just brought it back just to remind everybody that this was already a conversation, and it was already something that was talked about. So
yeah,
it would make sense that the next NBA game might support it.
Yeah, I think so. I'm hopeful, because crowd play is as a content creator, that's a very attractive thing. Now, am I going to be playing NBA 2K21? No, I'm not. I don't like sports games. I really don't like simulation sports games, so not for me. And then he also says summer game sale. We've already seen that. I think Jem, who is a community member and content creator, made a video talking about, he's always hacking the website, and I think he made a video that was pointing to, look, there's all of these links that you can get to, and one of them was summer game sales, and it makes a lot of sense for them to say, by the way, we've got a bunch of games on sale right now. Go to google.stadia.com or whatever the URL is /summer game sale, and you can start buy and play your games instantly. All right. Man, we've got a lot of these to get through. Let's go to the next one. Killajan, my hopes for these are family sharing, annual subscription, Uplay, crowd play, some heavy hitting games from EA and DICE. So clearly, Killajan means Apex Legends, because that's the EA DICE game that we're talking about all the time.
Yep.
Did DICE also made the Star Wars Battlefront 2, right?
Correct. Yes,
I believe that was DICE. That.
Yeah, I bought it at launch. A buddy of mine wrote the script for the game, so I bought it at launch, even though I heard the game was not good. Recently reinstalled it because my son was playing it. It is completely 100% different game. There is like 1,000,000% more content in the game. You can be pretty much any main Star Wars character now. They've done such a great job bringing that game back from the brink and turning it into just an awesome package of Star Wars love. So getting that on Stadia would be just a fantastic thing. I would love that, to play some of the multiplayer stuff.
And it is a ridiculously huge download, so that would be freeing up a whole bunch of room on my PlayStation. I have like the PS4 Pro that I have is the one that came with that particular game, and that game is awesome. The single player campaign is fantastic, and the multiplayer is also really, really fun. And CMR in chat is reminding us that Respawn makes Star Wars, Jedi, and Apex. Respawn makes Star Wars, Jedi, and Apex. Okay, yeah, not DICE. DICE just makes the Star Wars Battlefront games.
Yeah. So this one is Respawn.
There you go. Okay. All right. Let's see. And hey, listen, when we say things, we're dumb sometimes. Mostly me. Lloyd's the smart one. I'm the pretty one.
I just play one on TV.
There you go. Annual subscription. What do you think, man? Do you think we're going to get one this time?
I would just like, I want an annual subscription because I'd love to just say, here, Google, here's my $80. Just give me Pro for the next year. But what I want annual subscriptions for is because I want to see the cards in store. Like, I want to see Stadia advertising that isn't on just Android websites and Stadia, the Stadia YouTube channel. I want to see Stadia being talked about in the wide world. So having these cards out there will probably happen right around the time when there's going to be a huge press release of advertising, and here's press play this, press play that, and here's a bunch of ads that are going to be going on, because there's so many people that are gamers that don't even know what Stadia is. There's still so many of the original arguments against Stadia are still coming from people because they don't know any better, because there hasn't been that advertising. So I think annual subscriptions in stores would be just the thin edge of the wedge for a lot of people to get kind of Stadia into their brains.
Yeah. You know what would be really awesome is if they see, because it's an ever, like, the games that you get are rotating in and out. You once you claim them, you have them as long as you're subscribed. But the games that you're getting are going in and out all of the time. It's too bad that they couldn't have like if Google could say, all right, get 15 games for this price. You buy this card, it comes with 15 games. Like that would be something that you could walk in and you could see that right there. Yeah. Or you know what they could do instead is you go into the store and it has the Stadia card with the generic Stadia logo on there, and then above it they have a replaceable thing where you can go in and you can say, okay, GameStop, this week we're going to put up this flyer over top of the Stadia stuff so that people know what games they're getting. There's something to be said there. The problem being is that getting this into GameStop, I think, is tough because GameStop doesn't make any money on selling that stuff. They make all of their money on reselling the stuff that people trade in. So do you think GameStop would allow them to do that?
GameStop probably makes more money selling a year-long subscription to PSN than they do selling the actual console that you're playing games on, because the markup on consoles is so slim, and they may at least make 5% on the card that they're selling. So that's the only reason why they have things like Steam cards and stuff in the stores, because they're making 5% on it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they have Steam cards. I didn't think about that.
But where I want to see this is like your grocery stores. Yeah. Like, I don't know about you, but my grocery store has a huge wall of gift cards from everything from lingerie to air travel to restaurants to video game stuff. Having Stadia there would be great. But the 7-Elevens, the other like Best Buys, Toys R Us up here in Canada, or Target down there in the States, having those cards there just amongst all the other gaming cards at least will make people go, hey, what's Stadia? Just like when we're walking through and the kids see a bright card that has like this cartoon logo on it and it's for some crazy web game, they're like, hey, what's that game, Dad? I'm like, I don't know, you're never playing it, so it doesn't really matter. But if it said Stadia, I'd be like, oh, that's for Stadia, that's this thing, blah blah blah. So I don't know, just having more marketing out there to me would be a really great thing.
You know, another really good thing that they could do is they could sell the games in stores as well. Like, let's say that there's the new NBA 2K21 comes out. They could just sell a card. Like, you could be walking in, you could say, oh, look at that. There's a card for NBA 2K21. I'm going to buy this, bring it home, put in my code, and be playing instantaneously. That's something else that they could do.
Do you know what would be really smart for Google to do is come up with a box design so they can be on the shelves in Toys R Us or in Target or in GameStop or in EB Games amongst the PlayStation and Xbox ones, which is just a box with Stadia at the top, the art for whatever game it is, and it's just a code in the box that gets you instant access to play that game when you take it home, because then they can advertise it. It would also be good for the collectors that collect things like that, but having physical things to represent a digital game may work in Google's favor in this instance. You're
not wrong, but I don't like the idea of making plastic boxes that are just plastic boxes for the sake of having a plastic box. But I do agree that would definitely help. All right, let's move on to a tweet from Stadia 7. They said, excuse me, stealth drops, Jedi Fallen Order, Apex, Orcs Must Die 3. Well, we kind of already know that Orcs Must Die 3 is coming because that was leaked. We'll talk about that later on in the show. Hyperscape and 2 indies. And I'm assuming that 7, when they refer to 2 indies, they were probably trying to save space. They're probably talking about Celeste and El Hijo, which we'll talk about later on in the show as well. So, do you think how many stealth drops are you expecting? I know I'm 99.99999% sure that we're going to get at least one, based on the leaks that happened earlier this week. But what do you think?
I'm going to go way out in left field and say we're going to get at least one and maybe another one on top of that. I think we're going to get some surprise indie that's going to be added. I'm not sure what that will be, but I think we're going to get at least 2 stealth drops, because that just seems to be the way things are going lately.
What do you think about the idea of hyperspace or hyperscape? Hyperspace.
I don't know. I mean, sure. I think that would be great, but it seems a little early. Like, didn't that have a wasn't Ubisoft talking about it coming out for the world later? Like, it's just available now for content creators, right? Like, they gave out a bunch of keys, and then they had like drops. If you watched a stream, you might be gifted a copy, gifted a copy of a free game to get in there early. I don't know. I mean, it's Ubisoft. Ubisoft loves Stadia. Ubisoft loves getting their games on every single platform. So yeah, sure. Let's do it. Let's get Hyperscape on Stadia as well.
Did you watch any of Hyperscape?
I watched a couple minutes of a match from a guy that I watch streaming all the time, and it looks interesting. It looks crazy. Like, it looks like a direct mashup of Call of Duty and Fortnite. Like, it has kind of the realism sort of looking of Call of Duty from the environments, but then it has some of the just crazy over the top action and effects of, say, like a Fortnite or something. It looks really interesting. I'm not a BR guy anymore. I played so much Fortnite, and I've kind of kicked that habit, thankfully. So I'm not playing that game anymore.
Now he just plays MMOs.
And now I just play ESO. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I took one needle out and put the other needle back in my arm. But so this doesn't really excite me as a gamer personally. But as someone that's excited about the platform, the more free to play BRs that we can get on Stadia, the better it's going to be for Stadia. If you could say, hey, Hyperscape looks cool. Oh, I just got gifted a code. Oh, I can just click this link and I can play it right now. I mean, that's pretty awesome. And you really can't do that on any other platform.
Yeah, it's pretty compelling. Cyberpunk 2077 release date. Although he's saying day and date. Do you think it's day and date? I don't think it's day and date. I don't think there's any chance of it being day and date.
I mean, it could be day and date with the next gen versions, because they are going to be delayed from the original release. You'll be able to backwards compat the PlayStation 4 version on PlayStation 5, but CD Projekt Red is going to be coming out with a enhanced version at some later point. I think that's when the Stadia version is going to come out, is on that date.
Yeah. And then he says ray tracing. We already know that, well, no, there's rumors from a dev that has told me that Gen 2 hardware does support ray tracing, and they are working on a game that will support ray tracing. So we already know that that's coming. Whether or not they talk about it, I doubt that they're going to talk about it at this point, unless they are going to then unveil games that are using it. And I think that if CD Projekt Red was going to be supporting ray tracing on Cyberpunk 2077 for Stadia, they probably already would have said that. You would think, because we already know that game is coming, and it's coming this year, according to CD Projekt Red. Splash Damage trailer. I looked, and nothing that Splash Damage had made looked interesting to me at all. So I have
Gears on Stadia.
What's that?
Gears 5 on Stadia.
Yeah,
no, that's never gonna happen.
So nothing that they made looked interesting to me. I could be wrong. Maybe they're going to come out with something really, really cool, but I don't care if they come up with a game. Maybe it'll be awesome. Maybe I'm wrong.
Sure.
Activision Blizzard partnership. Go ahead, Lloyd.
I mean, having more publishers releasing games on Stadia would be great. I think that if Activision Blizzard was really wanting to support Stadia, that would have happened already. I think it's going to be like what happened on the Switch. The Switch ended up being a juggernaut, and it's like, we wanted to bring Diablo to Switch all the time. Like, this is something we've been planning since day one. It just took 3 years. We'll get something like that down the road. But I would love to see every Blizzard game, every new Activision game coming out on Stadia, because it would give me one less reason to buy a next gen console if I can get all the games that I want on Stadia, and that which I already play on and love.
Then they said, I'm going to go through the rest of these pretty quick. Pre-orders, crowd play demonstration, yearly subscription we already talked about. Hitman 3 announcement. I forgot about that. There was a new Hitman game announced. Possibly it will come to Stadia. Ubisoft makes Hitman, right?
No, is it Ubisoft or is it Crystal Dynamics? I can't remember who does Hitman these days.
I have no idea. Somebody in
Hitman
chat will
video
tell
game
us,
series.
I'm sure.
I'm just gonna Google it. IO Interactive, Square Enix Montreal.
Oh, Square.
So,
okay, all right.
Eidos. So that's
Eidos.
where the Tomb Raider thing popped in my head.
Right, gotcha. All right, so pre-orders, we already know. Like they've said, you can now pre-order the expansion, and they use the word pre-order, by the way. They said you can pre-order the expansion for Destiny 2. So I think that pre-orders are here, but by the fact that there's so many times so far that somebody has found something in a website that we weren't supposed to find, I think that they're going to always lag behind because they don't want to say, hey, pre-order now, but everybody already found out about it 3 weeks ago because they posted the update and it was supposed to be hidden and then it wasn't hidden. So there's that. All right, we got one more tweet from people, and then we'll move on to the news. Crash Insane Trilogy. This one comes from Jake Myers. What do you think? Are you a Crash fan?
I like Crash. I just put it in here because Jem is always in our chat room, and he's always saying that a platform doesn't exist until it has a Crash game on it. So maybe this platform will exist at some point in the future, Jem.
There you go. Yeah, I've never played a Crash game. I'm not going to start with Crash Insane Trilogy or Crash 4, which I'm sure is going to be loaded with microtransaction after microtransaction. I don't trust them not to do that kind of thing. Like Crash Team Racing, didn't that game come out without any transactions, and then after the fact they added the microtransactions in after it was rated by the ESRB?
I think so. I think something like that happened. I know Insane Trilogy doesn't have any microtransactions because it's the old games.
Right.
Nothing can be said about the new games, I guess.
Yeah.
We can't predict the new games.
There you go. Well, anyway, those were your predictions for the Stadia Connect. If you didn't know, Lloyd and I will be co-streaming the Stadia Connect. This is happening on July 14th. There's a link in the description down below. I hope I remembered to put that there. There's a link in the description down below. If not, I'll do it after the fact. And that stream will start at 12:30 Eastern. So 12:30 my time. You can figure out your time on your own. On the 14th, be here. Don't try and watch it on the official channel. And here's the reason. Chat is going to be going by so fast that you're not going to be able to interact with anybody. You're not going to be able to see anything other than stupid memes as they fly by at 1,000,000 miles per hour. And even those are going to be hard to see. So come hang out with us. There'll be less people here. Although right now we got 200 people watching. Hit those likes, everybody.
Exactly. Before we move on, a couple predictions from me. I think definitely we're going to get details on Ubisoft for Uplay Plus. I think that is definitely a given that's going to happen. And I think we're going to get announcement or a stealth drop of Doom 2016 because we know the game is running on. We know it's running on the platform. We know it's been rated by the ESRB. So this would be a really good. Hey, thanks for watching. If you aren't already a member, here, jump into Stadia today. You get a 1 month free, and you can immediately claim Doom 2016, Orcs Must Die 3, and then play the other 17 games that are available for free as a Plus member, or a Pro member rather. That would be the perfect way to kind of end the presentation and give everybody some warm fuzzies in their belly as they watch this Google event.
You know what? I've got one more thing that I want to say that I really hope that they do. I hope that they just flat out give away a game. not a pro game. Just flat out say, here's a game. It is on us. You don't have to be subscribed to pro. You don't have to be subscribed to anything. Here's a game for you to try Stadia. And maybe it's Doom 2016. Maybe it's Far Cry 6. Maybe it's Celeste. Maybe it's F1. I don't know what it is. But some game, just give it away. Google, you
Assassin's
have the money
Creed
to
Odyssey.
do it. What's that?
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which was the game that they baited everything during Project Stream. That would be a great thing. It's like, this game, a new Assassin's Creed was announced. Here, play the current one, play it free on Google Stadia.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on and get to the news.
Now you're playing with power, portable power.
Save. And my my Switchcraft muscle memory kicked in the middle of that. I hit a button and then I stopped recording, but that's okay. Because I'm just because that's what I do when I do the show by myself is I record a segment, I play a thing, and then I stop recording, and then I know, okay, now I'm going to start recording again, and I stopped recording for some reason. So I'll take this as a moment to save, and we'll keep going.
You're not sending me your samples, by the way.
You know what? I have to figure that out.
Which is fine. Okay. Just letting you know if maybe you're on the wrong profile or something.
Well, it's so here's what happened. Remember when I redid everything?
Mm-hmm.
And then last week I sent you my samples and everything. Yep. Somehow those samples were going into my microphone on the podcast as well.
Oh, weird.
So I was like, well, okay, I did something wrong. So you know what? Now that I've got you here, we could take a second and see if I can fix it right now.
Sure.
So I'm just going to go to routing, and I got to go to doing it live. Samples. See, that goes to chat mic. I don't want that to go to chat mic. I just want chat to hear it.
No, you want it to go to chat mic. You want your samples.
Chat mic is what gets recorded on.
Chat mic is what comes to me. Chat in is what records my voice. So the chat mic out and chat mic in are two different. They're inputs and outputs.
Right, but okay, then so I'm recording the wrong thing in Reaper. Then, so I'm not going to change anything, and I will fix it later because I don't want to mess with Reaper in the middle of a show.
But you shouldn't have to, because if you're putting it out on the chat output, it doesn't immediately come in through the chat input. Chat mic for inputs is just my voice coming in, or whatever you have assigned to use the chat input.
Right, but on Reaper, I know you guys are like, will you talk about Stadia? Relax. We will. We promise. So in Reaper, I've got a thing that says chat mic mix. That is what goes up and down when I talk, is chat mic mix. So I need to look at my Reaper settings and decide to record something else.
You're using the stubs, right?
Stems?
So stems. I called stubs. You're using the stems in Reaper? Okay. I just use the discrete input and output in Reaper.
All right. I'll look at that after the show.
Sure.
All right. Well, it's time for the news, everybody. Let me hit the button. And we are back. We've got a lot more to talk about, everybody. That segment took longer than I thought. Let's start with, we've kind of talked about this a couple of times. The Orcs Must Die trailer has leaked. This was originally found by Redditor Z Matty Power, and they were able to find the official store page for Orcs Must Die 3 and the release date for the game, which is July 13th, according to 9to5 Google, but I'm pretty sure it's got to be July 14th, right?
Yeah, it's probably the 13th in the UK or wherever they're located.
Gotcha.
Time zones.
Yeah. So the trailer is very interesting, but the most interesting part, it comes right at the end. They're showing some gameplay, and then suddenly, any moment now, there you go. It says play now for free with Stadia Pro. So it looks like we're going to be getting Orcs Must Die 3 as a Stadia Pro game, and we're probably going to be, that's the stealth drop that we all assumed that was going to happen. So what do you think about this, Lloyd? Are you excited to play Orcs Must Die 3? I personally am really excited to play it.
I wasn't super excited for it, but then I have it on good authority, very good authority, that the game is awesome. So now I'm very excited to get in there and play this game.
There you go. I think that this is really, really good for Google Stadia. It's a multiplayer game. So it's the kind of game, because I think it's two, like in the video they show 2-player multiplayer. Which I'm a little disappointed. I thought it was 4. Were you also under the impression that it was 4-player multiplayer?
I thought it was 4-player multiplayer, and there could be like 1,000 orcs on screen at once, and it was just the cloud, the power of the cloud was gonna take care of all that stuff. But yeah, it seems like it might only be 2-player multiplayer.
Yeah, that's what it said in the video. But I'm looking forward to it a lot. 2-player multiplayer is going to be fun. I like the idea of how customizable they show it off to be. So like they have this little thing where they drag it back and forth to show this is how it could be, and then maybe you might design your fights to look like this instead. And so you pick the traps that you want to use, and focus on those kind of traps. I think that this game is going to be huge. I can't wait to play it. It looks fantastic. And I remember reading someplace recently that they were targeting 4K 60 as well. So all of you numbers nerds out there who absolutely have to have the game running at the appropriate numbers in order to be happy with it, seems like maybe that's going to be a possibility. So I'm looking forward to Orcs Must Die 3, but I always have been. Even though I've never played any of the other games in the series, I just think it looks really, really great on Stadia. All right, and go ahead.
One of the best parts about this is Orcs Must Die 3 is being published by Google. So it's being published by Google Stadia Games and Entertainment. What that means is that we have a first-party title. It's a third-party produced title, but it's a first-party published title that is releasing for free on Stadia. If you are a fan of what Microsoft is doing with Microsoft Games Pass, where every first-party game comes out, and if you're a Games Pass member, it's free, that leads me to believe that maybe Google is emulating some of that. So maybe future games that are coming from Stadia Games and Entertainment, or whatever the official title of the thing is, means that those games are going to be free with Pro. And if that's the case, you could buy Games Pass and get all those games for free. You could buy Stadia Pro, get all those games for free. And for $20 a month, you're getting just a crap ton of amazing first-party content across 2 different platforms in the streaming world. That is a pretty exciting future. So I'm really excited to see if this is just a one-off or if this is kind of a sign of things to come for Google Stadia.
We may end up pushing some of the news because of this, but you brought up an interesting point, and it's something I've been thinking about a lot lately, and that's that there's all of these people out there who wanted Stadia to be the Netflix of gaming. They wanted to have a subscription where they had games rotating in and rotating out. And what we got instead is a subscription where games are rotating in and not rotating out. And I think that is better. I think that is much better. As long as you are subscribed when it comes out, you then have access to that game until you no longer subscribe to the subscription, which is a weird way to say it. I think that's better than having a game or a subscription where, hey, I'm subscribed to this and I can play Orcs Must Die 3, but I can only play that for the next 6 months, and then after 6 months it's gone unless I buy it. I think that the model that we're getting with Stadia Pro, while admittedly has fewer games than Xbox, what's it called again? Xbox Game Pass.
Games Pass, Games Pass.
Admittedly, there are fewer games with Stadia than Xbox Game Pass, but over time, the number of games that we're going to have access to is going to be huge. Can you imagine how many games that we'll have on our Stadia Pro accounts in 2 years? Like, it's going to be insane.
I look at the store now and I'm going through and it's like owned, purchase, whatever the thing is. And it's like, I own most of the Stadia library and I haven't bought all the games in the Stadia library. I've bought a bunch of games, but not all of them. It just, we're getting so many games included as pro, which is great. And like you said, Bill, Games Pass is great, except if the one game you want to play isn't there anymore because it's rotated out. Makes me wonder if this is going to be something that Google can keep up with in the future, because it probably costs them more money to permanently add a game to someone's library than to just temporarily have it part of a service. But we'll see what happens. But I'm just looking at the future of xCloud coming to PC, and for $10 a month there and $10 a month on Stadia, you can have access to all these amazing first party games. And then you have Sony over there in the corner that they've had streaming forever, but it hasn't really taken off. And it's just, they got to be looking at it. It's like, guys, we did this first. What the hell? Why is no one giving us any props? But you look at what Xbox is doing and what Google's doing. It's both really compelling new ways to market and to sell games. And I'm just super, super excited for the next gen to see what kind of shakes out.
Yeah. I think that Stadia is in a really good place right now, even if it's currently, kind of the butt end of the joke quite often. Mm-hmm. I think that those are the people, those jokesters are being myopic, and they're not looking at the future and what's going to happen at that point. All right, let's move on to the next piece of news. There's a Far Cry 6 trailer leaked, has a Stadia logo at the end. The thing that I'm most interested in is, actually, have you played Far Cry ever?
I've played all the Far Cries. I love that series. I'm a collector, so I like to tick things off of a checklist. It's like, okay, I did this, check. I did this, check. And that's what Far Cry has been. I haven't played Far Cry 1. I've played Far Cry 2 all the way up, and all of kind of like the spin-offs and weird things like that. If you like kind of the check marky kind of games, Far Cry is definitely a game for you. And I loved all of the most recent Far Cries, so I can't wait for 6.
Yeah, I have never played a Far Cry game, but the idea that it's got that dude from Breaking Bad in it has got me interested, because that guy is an amazing actor, and I want to see everything that he's in. And anyway, Far Cry 6 has the Stadia logo. It has the PS5 logo, PS4 logo, Xbox One logo, Xbox Series X logo, 4K Ultra HD, HDR, Dolby delivery, Uplay Store, looks like the Epic Store and Stadia. So you're going to be able to play this pretty much everywhere except for the Nintendo Switch. Of course, that does not surprise me. This looks like it's a pretty graphically intensive game. So running on a tablet is going to be tough, but that doesn't matter when you're playing on the cloud. All right.
The big question is, will you be able to take over El Pollo Loco locations in the game? And if you can't, they've failed, because that's all I want to do in this game.
For those of you who have never watched Breaking Bad, go
what was his name?
Watch
Frank?
Breaking Bad. It's so good.
What's his last name?
Gus Fring.
Gus Fring. That's what it was. Yeah. Oh, such a good character and such a good show.
Yeah, and then after you finish watching Breaking Bad, go and watch what's the prequel? Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul, yeah.
Awesome shows. All right, we already talked about this week. Celeste and Eho are El Eho are on their way to Google Stadia. I don't have anything new to add to this, but maybe Lloyd does, because he was not on the video with me.
I wasn't familiar with El Hijo. It looks fun. It's a stealth game where you're a kid and there's no violence. This could be a really interesting title. Celeste is a fantastic title. One of the best games that came out 2 years ago, or whenever it originally came out. It was like one of the best games that came out that year. so that's great. Coming to Stadia, that's fantastic. But El Hijo, this looks really interesting. I can't wait to play. Like I went from zero interest to, man, I really want to play that game just by watching the trailer. So pretty awesome.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't have anything else to add there. F1 released on Stadia this week. Did you play that at all?
No, I'm not a racing guy. I'm an arcade racing guy. If I am a racing guy, that's why I like the Crew 2. It's more arcadey, and you can do crazy flips and keep driving. I don't have much interest in F1 as a sport or the game, but it seems like people are enjoying it from what I've heard across the internet.
Well, speaking of the Crew 2, did you play any of the Crew 2 this week? Because they have the Summer in Hollywood update came out on the 8th, I believe.
I've played almost no games except for a few hours of Elder Scrolls Online. I've been dealing with some issues that have kept me away from video gaming, but I have a couple things that I'm going to be doing this afternoon. One of them is playing the Crew 2 to check out the new content that they've put into it, and then the other one is probably more Elder Scrolls Online. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Crew 2, and there might be another game mixed in there as well that I want to jump into and play.
Yeah. So that's a free update that's coming to the Crew 2. In addition to that, we also have I'm going off the show notes here for a second. There's also a new update coming for Ember, which, if you have forgotten about Ember, you're probably not alone. I think a lot of people probably forgot about Ember. It came out, and a lot of people were really excited for it, and it's actually really cool. The problem with it is that it's early access, and like there's parts of it that felt a little unfinished, and I personally hate how it controls. But that's because that's a me thing, not a problem with the game necessarily. That's a problem with me. But they're having a new update called Ember Eats, where in addition to putting out fires and rescuing people, you are also delivering food to them, which is hilarious. Is this going to get you back into the game?
The best thing is no one can complain about the food being cold when it arrives, because you're walking through a burning building when you're giving it to them. So I think that'll be good. I just love this. I really did love Ember. As glitchy and weird as it was, I love games for that, when they have like weird, crazy physics bugs and stuff like that. It just makes it a laugh to play. I pretty much completed all the content that was in Ember, so I'm eager for more. So I'm going to jump in and play this at some point. It looks just ridiculous.
Yeah, and for me, I thought the Ember was a very good game, but it was a game that I don't like the way that the game handles, and that's, like I said, that's a me thing. All right. Speaking of updates, Superhot is getting an update. It's called Superhot Mind Control Delete. That is coming soon to other places, not soon to Stadia. That's going to be delayed a little bit. We don't know when that's coming to Stadia. As somebody who has waited until this year to play Superhot, and I finally played it on Stadia for the first time, and I beat it, and I'm here to tell you, it is the most innovative shooter that I've played in years. It is an awesome, awesome game. Chat's saying super hot over and over. This game is awesome, and I can't wait to play the next thing. Yeah. It comes out on July 16th. We don't know when it's coming to Google Stadia. Are you excited for this?
Yeah, it's free for anybody that owns the game, is what they're saying. So if you own it on Switch, if you own it on Xbox, if you own it on PC, if you own it on PlayStation, that's got to mean that it's going to be free for Stadia. We don't know for sure. It talks about other features, other things. I'm super excited about this one.
Are you going to be playing it in VR again?
No, my PlayStation VR is put away. I need to dig it back out and play it. But yeah, no, I really want to jump in and play more Superhot. So I'm excited that this will come out.
Now, here's a game that I know Lloyd is going to be excited for. I'm 99% sure that we did not talk about this, because this tweet came out on July 8th. So maybe we talked about it, but we didn't record us talking about it. And that would be WWE 2K Battlegrounds. Lloyd, I know you're a wrestling fan.
Yep.
So, what did you think of this this trailer?
I think it's amazing. I love wrestling games that came in boxes that look like this. I don't know if you can see that on camera. The N64, those were some of the best wrestling games ever. The WWF and NWO and WCW games that came out on N64 were the best. I love arcadey fun wrestling games, not so much what's been coming out over the last few years. This looks like it's arcadey and weird and fun. It reminds me a lot of the old WWF what was it called? WWF something in the arcade where you would do like just crazy moves and flames would come out and fire and chicken wings and like all this weird stuff depending on the character that you were. This looks like it's going to be great. I don't know if this to me is a $60 game or not. I'm going to have to see what it looks like closer to release, but if a wrestling game's going to come out, this is the one that I want to play.
Yeah, I don't care about wrestling even a little. Like not even a little tiny bit. Like I don't know, 10-year-old me loved wrestling back when you had like Roddy Piper and Hacksaw Jim Duggan and things like that. And that's the last time I knew anything about wrestling. I don't care about wrestling. This game looks awesome. It looks ridiculous. There's a giant crocodile. There's a guy in a Kung Lao hat who has fire coming out of his hands. There's a helicopter. Everything looks like they said, okay, wrestling is supposed to be stupid and ridiculous. So let's take the stupid and ridiculous aspect of this and crank it up as high as we possibly can. And I even like the art style. They didn't go for hyper realistic stuff. They went for what
super deformed looking characters.
And it also very much reminds me of NBA Playgrounds. Like the art style reminds me of NBA Playgrounds, and that should not surprise us because Saber Interactive is working on this with 2K games. So that doesn't surprise me even a little bit, but this is definitely a game that I may end up checking out because I don't care about wrestling, but it looks really, really fun.
We'll tag team through the whole game.
Yes, absolutely. I will be. I did see Andre the Giant in there, so I want to definitely. He was one of the people that I recognized, so I was like, all right. I wonder if Hulk Hogan's going to be in there, or oh God, what was his name? Oh yeah, that guy. What was his name?
Oh, Macho Man.
Yeah,
Macho
Randy Savage.
Macho Man, Randy Savage. Yeah.
There you go.
I love Macho Man.
Oh,
yeah,
I wish
all the
I'd
old wrestling stuff
that.
is so good. I'm glad you didn't.
Yeah. All right. Real quick, we mentioned it earlier. There's a gameplay trailer for Serious Sam 4. If you want to check it out, go to the show notes, runjumpstomp.com. This is episode 66 of Stadiacast. Okay, we've got one more piece of news, and then we got to get to the crowd play. All right. That one more piece of news is that Microsoft is you want to take this because I need to take a drink.
Yeah, so Microsoft is basically creating server blades to run xCloud powered games, but not for people to play on, for developers to develop games. I guess they're basically doing what Google's doing for DevKit in the cloud, but they're doing it for Windows Windows 10 and Xbox Series X games. So they have server-based, cloud-based dev kits that are out with Infinity Ward, Ninja Theory, Rare, Turn 10 to develop and test their games in a world where COVID is keeping a lot of people from going to their office to interact with people. This is amazing. And this just proves that what Google thought to do is the right way going forward for development. So it was pretty cool to see Microsoft kind of take that using kind of their xCloud technology, but to take it and twist a little bit for development, not so much playing. Pretty awesome to hear. And again, it just reinforces that Google knows what they're doing.
Yeah, here's the quote. They said, "We set out to solve these remote access challenges by reallocating our Project xCloud resources, going beyond mobile and creating a PC app experience for developers that runs a low-latency 60 frames per second gaming experience that allows for continued game development. By giving developers access to our PC content test app, PCCTA, they can remotely connect to their Xbox dev kits from their PC, allowing them to test, play, and iterate as if they were in the office. It also prevents them from having to download daily builds to local hardware in the home, which can often take hours. So, yeah, look, this is the way going forward, and this is why I think that there's a lot of people who are working on stuff for Google Stadia where that stuff might not be delayed as much as stuff that might be coming to PS5 or Xbox Series X. Now, we also have to wonder, do we see the Stadia stuff delayed to coincide with those launches of other stuff that got delayed? We don't know. But I think that it's clear that cloud gaming has more benefits than just the ones that we've been talking about to the consumer. There's huge benefits that companies like Bungie have been talking about when they talk about development for Destiny 2 on Stadia, and how they were still able to just keep rolling through the pandemic. All right, that's it for the news for today. We've got the crowd play. We've got a bunch of things that people have said throughout the show. So for those of you who have done super chats or become members today, thank you very much. Let's see what people had to say. Jay Stroke started off the show today. He said, 1 day left. I'm super hyped. It's actually 2 days, isn't it? Yeah, it's 2 days left. So sorry about that, Jay Stroke. It's 2 days. 2 days. Gavin Vickers sent in a super chat. They said, prediction, Outer Worlds for Stadia. What do you think, Lloyd?
Yeah, I think that's a great prediction, and Outer Worlds is fantastic. So being able to play it on Stadia for people that haven't played it already would be a really great way to do it.
Now, there's a couple of games that have very similar titles, and I always mess this up. Outer Worlds is the one that plays like Fallout, but it's in space, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, yeah. That game is really good. I played it on Xbox Game Pass. It's fantastic. I would love to see that on Stadia. And who's the developer for that?
Geez.
Black Isle? Not Black Isle. Obsidian?
The people that did Fallout New Vegas did that one. And Fallout New Vegas is one of the best Fallout games, so I was super excited about that one.
There you go. Anthony Talcott sent in a super chat. By the way, thank you to Jay and Gavin, and thank you to Anthony. He said, a little off topic, but I think it's pretty interesting. Since NBA is $70, if that ends up becoming the norm, will that change the way you buy games, especially Lloyd, since it will be $90 for him? Ouch. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. If it goes up to $70 here in the States, in Canada, it's going to get even more expensive.
I will be buying very few games at launch if they go up to $90.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I mean, if they go up to $70, I've already stopped buying a lot of games at launch because I have so much to play. I have so much to play. And yeah, it's only $10 more. And that's a perfectly valid argument. It's only $10 more, but it's also $70. Like that is, and I'm somebody who has said for years that the price of games is cheaper now than it has ever been. So I fully expected this to eventually happen. Will I buy less games? I think so, but I already buy a lot less games because there's just so much to play. And you have things like Stadia Pro, where I keep getting all of these games given to us. You have, Xbox Game Pass giving you games. I mean, yeah, it's part of your subscription, but you know what I mean? Anyway, I think it is going to change the way that I end up buying games. Jem in chat sent in a super chat. They said, woo, Crash Bandicoot with a little heart. So you predicted exactly his reaction. Consigno says Lloyd has to do another wrestler impression. So anybody else you got there?
I can't even think of any more old wrestlers to do. I'll have to think on it. I got your back, Consigno. Let me work on that one.
Ray Sherrod sent in a super chat with one of those cool little dancing pears things or whatever. So thank you very much. And Bad Mojo just became a member. So thank you to each and every one of you for sending in your super chats as well as becoming members. You guys are awesome, and it makes doing this show just absolutely amazing. We really, really do appreciate it. Anything you want to touch on before we get out of here, Lloyd?
I don't think so. We're having a really good chat in the chat room about iOS app limits and why Stadia will never happen. But my point is having from day one the ability to go into the iOS app and buy a game on Google servers that you're not playing on your device. That has really never happened in a lot of instances. There's been so many apps that have been denied for doing exactly that. So I'm hopeful. I'm not a pessimist about that. So we'll see what happens.
You know, and actually to respond to that, I recently was installing the iOS 14 beta on my phone and my iPad because I'm a stupid man. Because it's beta software and you shouldn't do that. So don't do what I did, even though it's working really, really good. But as I opened up apps, I got a lot of, hey, this is the first time that you've opened this app. So here's a blurb. And when I opened up the Amazon Prime app, it said, hey, by the way, you can now buy and rent movies and TV shows directly in this app on your phone. And that is an Amazon app running on an iOS phone. So I think that the argument that a lot of people are saying is incorrect. And I think what's really holding back is not having hardware support for VP9 and Google wanting to make sure that they get things right. This is what Google does each and every time. They do something and then they iterate on it in public slowly over time. And that's what they're doing with Stadia. And once they have everything working on Android the right way, of course they're going to do Android stuff first. Then they're going to start working on getting it working on iOS. And I've heard rumors that they already have beta testing of it on iOS. I haven't beta tested it, but like I've read that they have done beta testing for Stadia on iOS. So I fully expect that we will get Stadia on iOS at some point.
You just have to
go ahead.
You just have to remember that when Stadia came out to Android phones, it was like one series of phones had support, not every Android device. Even Android phones were slow rollouts. So it doesn't surprise me that there's slow rollouts here. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, and I also see a lot of people that blame Apple. And I'm not saying that anybody in chat is doing this, but I see a lot of people blaming Apple all of the time. And what I'll say is that those people tend to have a bone to pick with Apple, and so they automatically assume that they're the bad guy here. And I don't think that that's necessarily the case, because if it were the case, we wouldn't be able to buy games on the Stadia app already. They would have forced us to go to the website instead.
The point here that I was trying to make in the chat room is we don't know. We don't know if Google tried to get Stadia running on iOS and was turned down, or if they just haven't tried yet. Like, we don't know. And until we hear from Apple saying that it was denied, or Google saying that we tried and it was denied, talking about the fact that Apple is limiting us, it's just you're making stuff up because we don't know. They say, well, the rules are set. We've had other apps that do that. Sure. And there's also been other apps that have been allowed on the platform after having some sort of deal worked out between Apple and the developer. So let's wait until something happens and then we can talk about it.
All right. Follow the show on Twitter at Stadiacast. Follow me at Run Jump Stomp. Follow Lloyd at Dasme. That's DASME, as in Dasme. Be sure to use the hashtag Stadiacast so we can find your tweets. And, of course, join our Discord over at runjumpstomp.com/Discord. We are approaching 1,500 awesome people that are over there waiting to talk to you about all kinds of things, video games, movies, TV, all that stuff. Join that Discord, runjumpstomp.com/Discord. And you can also join Lloyd's Discord. He's got a community Discord, which is over at resd.tv/Discord. It seems like I always have to spell everything that you do. REZD.TV/Discord. The music
Right.
that you are about. Go ahead, Lloyd. You're going to say something?
No, just I spell things weird. I'm Canadian.
Music you're going to hear right now is Subterranean Kamikaze by Zircon. You can check out their stuff at zirconstudios.bandcamp.com. Lloyd, stay awesome, man.
You too, Bill. Thanks, everybody. It was a great show.
There we go. We did it. We made an MP3, Lloyd.
We did.
Save. All right.
Alvar, I get what you're saying. I 100% get what you're saying, but we don't know the reasons. So you're coming at it, it was denied because of this, but we don't know if it was denied. If we know it's denied, then we'll have that conversation for sure, 100%. And I'm not denying that you're pulling actual things from the iOS developer guidelines, but we don't know what happened here. We don't know if anything has happened here. We don't know if Google has even tried to get Stadia games playable on iOS. So until we know, we can't really have a conversation, and we can't say that Apple's the bad guy because we don't know. There's no data saying that this is what happened.
Right. Yeah. It's just everybody assumes what happened, and then they repeat it, and then everybody else sees everybody else saying what they assume, and then they are like, "Well, that must be true." But until Google comes out and specifically says, "Yeah, it's not happening," then we're just going to assume that it happens. I think that Nick Fury said it best when he says, until such time as the world stops spinning, or no, until such time as the world ends, I'm going to behave as though it intends to keep on spinning. Thank you, Nick.
Exactly. 100%. It's also tough to have a nuanced discussion in 200 characters in a chat room that's constantly scrolling.
That's true. It is very difficult. I don't even know how you can do the show and talk and pay attention to chat at the same time, because it's not something that I can do.
I don't know how I do it either. I don't know how I do it. All right, guys, that was a hell of a lot of fun. Thank you for coming out, everybody.
Yeah. I think that Lloyd and I are going to go. I'm going to edit the hell out of this show. Not really. I'm just going to clip out that part in the middle where I shut it off because I'm an idiot. And I'll get it posted as soon as possible. Thank you. Oh, look at that. Vernificus Games is a new member. Thank you very much to Vernificus. I believe that yesterday I was in a dungeon with both Bad Mojo, who is a new member, and Vernificus, who is a new member, last night. And we killed the boss at the end.
We got to do a dungeon soon. I want to do my daily. I haven't done a daily all week, so I want to go in and get my big XP boost in a dungeon sometime today.
Get in there, man. What level are you?
42.
Oh, you're almost there. I'm level 50. I am now at level CP 60. So
I don't know what that means.
So when you get to 50, you automatically get 10 champion points. And then as you keep leveling up, you get more champion points, and you get this new. So you remember in Skyrim how they had like the constellations that you could put things into?
Yeah.
So it was like you would go in, you'd put, I'm going to put points into this, right?
Yeah.
So
and you'd have your different skills that way.
Yeah. So that's what you have in champion points. You have like, this is going to increase my mana regeneration by 5%, and this is going to increase my health regeneration by X%. And so they have all of these constellations you get, and this is the coolest thing, which is why I think that this is the most alt-friendly MMO ever, is that you hit 50, you unlock champion points. The cap for champion points is 810. Let's say I have 810 champion points. I make a brand new character and I level them up to 60. They immediately get 810 champion points to spend.
That's amazing.
Like, that's so cool.
I love that. That's Diablo, the Diablo way of doing it.
Yeah.
I just want to say, Jeff, Gignick, I don't know how to pronounce your last name. Sorry. See, that calling Apple fans eye sheep is just the wrong way of going about any sort of conversation. That's not the way that we have conversations in chat.
Yeah, that's tribal, and it's Coke versus Pepsi. And we're not about that. We are not going to, like, when Stadia does something bad, we're going to call them out. When they do something fantastic, we're going to praise them. We're very, very balanced here. And if you want to call people names, then this is probably not the community for you.
100%. Yeah, I own Android devices and Apple devices. I own all consoles. I have PCs and Macs in my house. I'm not a tribal technology user at all, and I think you're better rounded if you're not, because you get to know what all the platforms do, and you can make comparisons that way.
Yeah, I have Google Stadia. I've got an iPad and an iPhone, and then my house is filled with Google Home stuff and
Exactly.
Chromecast. So it all works.
Yeah, it's 2020. We don't need to do that. All the platforms, computers have been commoditized down to basically being the same thing. So if you buy a laptop, it's essentially the same thing. Doesn't matter what you're buying. So we don't need to do the whole brand war anymore. We're not doing a taste test in a mall in the 90s.
Now I want a soda.
I kind of want to do a taste test. That was fun. You get free prizes. It was great.
You got prizes for doing taste tests?
Yeah, they would do the Coke challenge or the Pepsi challenge. They came to malls, and you would choose which one you like better, and if it was Coke or if it was Pepsi, depending on who was running it. They would spin, those big circles that have like the pegs on it, and they have like all the things. They would spin one, and then you would get like a free 6-pack or a 2-liter or a T-shirt or a pen or a bracelet. I think I won a 24-pack of Coke once when I did that.
I already have
this
a
was
6-pack.
yeah, I have a 60-pack because there's 60 pounds up front that shouldn't be there. But yeah, you would get to do all that stuff, which was fantastic. I used to love when they would come to the malls.
Yeah, see, I lived in the rural area. I still do. I live in the same community I grew up in. Live in a rural area. That kind of thing never happened here. The only reason that we knew about them is because of the commercials. Which was always drive us crazy, because like we would see Toys R Us commercials and we'd be like, what the hell is a Toys R Us? I want to go there. It seems like a magical place. Nearest one was over an hour away.
So you wanted to be a Toys R Us kid?
I don't want to grow up.
You didn't want to grow up at all? I'm
a Toys R Us kid. There's a million billion toys at Toys R Us to play with. I love that song.
They play that song in Toys R Us up here now. They've brought it back. Like I think when Canada, like Toys R Us in the States closed down, and Toys R Us Canada ended up buying a bunch of assets and other stuff, and I think they got rights to the song. They must have, because that is all you hear as you're walking through Toys R Us now. It's not bad, but also kind of annoying.
Wait, Toys R Us is still around? I thought they went out of business completely.
It did in the US, but Toys R Us Canada was a wholly owned subsidiary. And I think there's Toys R Us in like Australia as well, which are all out of, yeah. Is there Kodiak? Is there Toys R Us in the UK as well? Oh no, it looks like RIP.
Oh, okay.
It says RIP.
Thank you, baby. Super hot. Here's my corner gas mug.
Okay,
don't
so
drink
Kodiak.
It's too hot.
Kodiak says it's been shut down in the UK as well. So yeah, I think it's Canada and I love that mug. Canada and Australia, I think, still has Toys R Us.
Do you guys have Blockbuster? Dex Generation wants to know.
No. I wish we did. I used to love going to movie rental places just to browse what was out there. It would be cool just for nostalgia. I don't have a DVD player or a VHS player or a Blu-ray player other than a game system these days, so I don't really have the way to play physical media on most TVs except for the one in the basement.
My wife and I were having this conversation not so recently. It was a while back, but we were talking about things that like our son will never understand, because he never, like, when we were in college, we would take our daughter to the local video store, and we would, look at all of the videos. Of course, it was DVDs at the time. It wasn't VHS. Well, sometimes it was VHS. Yeah, we still had VHS player at that point. So sometimes it was DVD, sometimes a VHS, but we would rent a video, and we would go, we would get on our bikes, we would ride down to the VHS place or the rental place. We'd rent like 3 or 4 movies, throw them in my backpack, and ride back home, and we would order a pizza and sit down and watch the movies, and we would have an absolute blast doing that. And my son, who is 12, he's never experienced that. We have had Netflix his entire life.
Right.
He's never gone to rent a movie at a place. And there's all of these things that kids today, they have no idea about. And it's too bad because some of it was really fun.
The best part of game rental places, it was this: being able to get a game previously played for half the price that it would be to buy it new. And I love that because games are more expensive in Canada. So be able to buy Quake 2 on the N64 for $30 was amazing. So I have a bunch of game boxes that have stupid stickers on it, which are ruining the game boxes. But I gotta get the blow dryer out and peel them off or whatever. But man, I used to love Blockbuster. We had a place called Rogers Video. We had a video place, Jumbo Video. I think it had like a circus theme, but they all have like game sales, and I would go there every once in a while if I had like a spare $50 in my wallet and be like, okay, how many games can I get for whatever console I have?
Yeah, we when all of the video places went out of business because of Netflix, there was one that was down the street from us, and my wife went down there and she bought a bunch of games for the Wii at like super low prices because they were just trying to get anything that they could for them.
I did that too. When Rogers closed down by my house, I bought a stack that must have been about like 2.5-3 feet tall of games that were all like $5 a piece, and they were all PS3 and Xbox 360 games for the most part. I think maybe a couple newer gen ones there. I got some Wii games. I got a bunch of things. Oh man, I missed that. Being able to get so many games for so cheap was such a good thing.
Rob just telling me to take him to a Redbox. I don't even think we have a DVD player.
Yeah, I've bought DVDs or Blu-rays online only because they have the digital code inside of it, and it's cheaper to buy the thing from Amazon, have it shipped to my house, than it is to buy it on like Apple or iTunes Video or whatever I'm buying it on. So I'll buy a thing for $10 because it has an iTunes code, and then I'll come home and I'll punch it in iTunes, and then I take this physical delivery mechanism and I throw it in the cupboard and I never look at it again. Just like I was saying we should do with Stadia boxes.
Yeah,
do the same thing.
There you go.
I don't know, it's so weird.
Before I forget, Goblin Lord just became a supporter, so thank you very much, Goblin Lord. We appreciate your support. And with that, I think it's time for us to wrap things up. I'm gonna sit here, drink my tea, edit the show. Lloyd's gonna go do handstands, and he's gonna do the oh shoot, never mind. I was gonna make a joke, but I can't remember the thing that it's called. So everybody, I hope you guys have a great day. Lloyd, I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, talk to you later, Bill. Take it easy, everybody.
Tuesday. Don't forget Tuesday. Be there Tuesday, everybody. Tuesday.
I think Tuesday is going to be big, so I'm excited for it.
There's a link in the description down below. Go click on it and click on the little remind me button. All right, we're out of here.
All right, later, everybody.